Here are two myths that people often believe about Galileo, and these are kind of pet peeves of mine because they come up a lot. I teach physics, and people always are saying these things, and I see books written about them, and people make jokes about them, but they're simply not true. The first is the myth of the story of Galileo versus Aristotle. The story is told that Galileo wanted to prove that Aristotle was wrong because Aristotle said that heavier objects fall faster. So he went up to the Leaning Tower of Pisa with a small object and a large object, a heavy and light, and he dropped them, and they both hit the ground at the same time. But people still didn't believe, even though they saw the evidence in front of them, because they were slavishly obedient to the rules of Aristotle. This story is not true. It's very unlikely that Galileo ever did this in the first place, and secondly, heavier objects do fall faster because in our environment around the Leaning Tower of Pisa, there is air, and air resistance plays an effect, plays a role. Here are some quotes from some historians. I'll go through them kind of quickly, but you can pause and take a look if you want. The second myth is the story about Galileo versus the church. The myth says that the church taught that the earth was at the center. It was doctrine that the earth was at the center of the solar system, and Galileo pointed his telescope to the sky, and he was able to prove that the sun is actually at the center of the solar system and that the earth goes around the sun. Okay, this is not true. Again, Galileo could not prove, and I made another video going into the details of this. While Galileo's telescope was interesting, and he was certainly the first astronomer to use a telescope, he couldn't prove that the Earth went around the sun. And there is it's a very complicated story, and it's often blown out of proportion to make the church look bad, blow up this whole imagined fight between science and religion, and so many of the details are simply not true. Again, here are some quotes on this story.